I recognize myself for 5 minutes. Director Gibson, the Basel Committee sets international capital and liquidity standards that the Fed uses as the basis for domestic regulations. According to Section 11K of the Federal Reserve Act, which you know very, very well, provides, quote, the Board of Governors may not delegate its functions to a Federal Reserve Bank for the establishment of policies for the supervision and regulation. But the Federal Reserve Bank of New York is a member of the Basel Committee, as is the Federal Reserve Board of Governors. How does the Federal Reserve reconcile delegating to the New York Fed the ability to be a member of the Basel Committee, which establishes supervision and regulation policies that become incorporated into board regulatory and supervisory policies, with Section 11K of the Act, which says that the board may not delegate to a Federal Reserve Bank its functions for the establishment of supervision and regulation policies?
So when the board and the New York Fed participate in the Basel Committee, we're coordinating closely. We're not delegating anything, and we work together, and the Reserve Bank staff provide a lot of value. They have a lot of technical expertise.
When you and the New York Fed are participating in the Basel Committee, do you represent the United States, or are you just participating in an international standard-setting exercise?
We're representing our agencies, and we're representing the United States.
And U.S. energy companies that are fossil energy, carbon-emitting companies, do you have their interests in mind when you are there in Basel? The shareholders of fossil energy, carbon-emitting American companies, do you have their interests in mind?
We have our statutory responsibilities around bank supervision and safety and soundness.
Yeah, and when European standard setters ask you to pressure banks to disinvest in or debank fossil energy companies, what do you say to them?
That we don't, I would say that we don't direct banks to lend to any particular customer. That's the bank's decision.
And American shareholders who depend on the profitability of fossil energy companies, what do you say in defense of them when you're in the Basel Committee?
Again, in the Basel Committee, we're representing our statutory responsibilities for bank supervision and safety and soundness.
Do you ever raise the issue of energy reliability and energy affordability in the context of these conversations at Basel?
That's not a main topic of the Basel Committee. We talk about
you don't talk about that. You don't talk about the reliability of the American energy grid. You don't talk about energy affordability or shareholder returns for American energy companies when you're there?
That's not the focus of banks.
What is the focus?
Bank safety and soundness and a strong economy.
Yeah,
and system.
Are banks more sound when they don't have good credits with energy companies?
Banks need to manage their credit risk with respect to all their borrowers.
Yeah. So, Director Gibson, one of our subcommittee hearings last year, you said that you did not know about the funding for the network of the greening and financial system. Have you had a chance to look more closely at NGFS funding? And if so, whether you think that with activist funding of research that the NGFS at the Federal Reserve Board is still comfortable with the board's participation in these NGFS meetings?
So I have looked more into the NGFS funding. What I can tell you is that the NGFS is supported by voluntary contributions of the NGFS members and observers. However, external funding can also be provided to support projects commissioned for the benefit of the NGFS. The NGFS charter states that such contributions do not confer the contributor any right to define the priorities or influence the NGFS work. And of course, we do not contribute funding to the NGFS from the Federal Reserve.
Well, we're very obviously worried about the influence from who funds it. Director Gibson, can you describe the Climate Data Committee, including the Climate Data Hub and the joint work with the FSOC, Office of Financial Research, Climate Data and Analytics Hub over at Treasury? It seems like there's a lot of obsession with climate at the Fed.
So I can't speak for the FSOC or the Treasury, but in terms of the Federal Reserve, we do have a staff group that's looking at climate data and what might be investments.
My time is expired, but we need patriotism. We need, from our participation in international bodies, we need promotion of American energy dominance. We don't need yielding to European climate obsession. I yield back.